Hey guys, what's up? So I'm glad he wants to get into jazz guitar a little bit. I think it's an infinite amount of fun on the way to personal creativity. And you're wondering what are like good first steps you could take to get into improvising in the context of jazz. So let me tell you some stuff. One of the first things you'll be given, not necessarily guitar players, all improvisers in jazz, is something we call 2-5-1 licks, which are basically all kinds of licks you can play when you have a harmony that's a D minor 7, G7, C major 7. That's like the 2, the 5, and the 1 of the major scale. So imagine you've got this lick off the internet, off an album, doesn't matter, it goes like this. And with chords, sounds like this. And you've learned that lick, and you can play it on that chord exactly whenever you see it, but you don't necessarily know what you've learned, why you've learned it, and how does it fit into the big picture of you as a musician. So let me explain some steps I would take with having such a lick. So again, if I get this on the D minor, the first thing I would do probably is try to understand the relationship between the notes and the chord that they're relating to. And this goes on D minor 7, so I know that the formula is 11, flat 3, 7, 5, 9, and then chromatically descend into the 1. I'll repeat that. 11, flat 3, 7, 5, 9, chromatic, and 1. So if I know this, I can actually understand why I'm hearing a D minor 7 when I play it. Because it has all these chord tones. Okay, and here's a very, very important step, I think, especially for guitar players. Usually, good 2-5-1 licks describe the harmony, meaning you can actually hear the harmony even if only a single line is being played. So that magically happens because the phrase has like a lot of the chord tones in that specific order. So usually what I'll do is I'll look where the 1, 3, and 5 of the chord actually reside on the guitar. So this is my flat 3, this is my 1, and this is my 5. Okay, remember these are the notes of that phrase. And look, it really looks like D minor, but it doesn't look like any old D minor. It looks like a D minor 7 in the second inversion, right? Because it's starting on the A, D, F. And then when I try to find the fingering for that phrase, I'll put the actual chord on and play around it. So that's the first step. I've answered the question, in which inversion is the chord being played right now? And I answered the D minor is played in second inversion. Now let's go to the G7. The lick goes like this. And if I'm on G7, the chord tones are 3, 5, 7, and there's the 1 here. So it's pretty obvious that the G7 is in the order B, D, G, or as we could say in first inversion. And that's a huge hint for the fingering, because I know to look for G7 in the first inversion and play the notes around it. So now I can say that in my 2-5, I can analyze the G7 as 3, 5, 7, 1, and then there's this thing that gives this phrase its coolest: flat 9, sharp 9, flat 9, and then 1 and 7, and it resolves to E, which is the 3 of C. But the point is, it's really clear that the G7 is in first inversion. So harmonically, the 2-5 goes from a second inversion D minor to a first inversion G7. Why am I making such a big fuss about that? Because on guitar, it's no big deal to move your stuff by a half step. Right? It's our only tiny revenge over the piano players who seem to be able to do everything super easily, except modulate by half steps. Yay. One for the guitar, which is fun. So, if moving in this direction, up and down, is kind of easy, just don't ruin the structure. It's like a bar chord. You just move around and it works. But what happens if you have to move to a new set of strings? That's trickier. What do I mean by that? I mean, I know how to play it here and here, but what happens if the phrase is on another set of strings? So here's where this helps. What I'll do is a preparatory exercise. I'll play, if this is D minor, I'll actually learn to play minor inversions in minor chords in the second inversion. So if this is D minor, I'm actually going to go up a fourth to G minor. And what I'll do now is I'm going to just modulate minor chords down by a fourth. So I'll be playing G minor and then down a fourth to D minor, down a fourth to A minor, and down a fourth to E minor. This will give me the landing lights for my lick. So it sounds like this. And back up from E minor, I'll be playing E minor, A minor, D minor, G minor. Now that I've done that, I can actually put the notes of the lick around the chord like this. So the G minor, I have to start on the 11, just above the 3, so it sounds like this. And on the D minor, and on the A minor, and on the E minor. Okay, so the point was the triads in second inversion served as landing lights for that airplane, meaning the notes that are surrounding the triads are all related to these structures. This helps me see stuff and apply it in real time. Okay? Let me do the same for the G7. So the lick was... I know that the chord is in the first inversion. So what I need to do, G, E, A, and E. These are all major chords in first inversion. And I'll play the lick. So it's starting from E, and A, and B, and G. And here I go. Okay, so that gives me a good thing to play on a dominant chord. So I have like a bunch of licks for the 2, G minor, for example, a bunch of licks for the 5, C, for example, and I have like places to finger them because I'm really just like when you play chords, you move from chord to chord. Right? I move my hand every time the chord changes. So now every time the chord changes, I'll actually move my hand to the correct triad. So the 2-5-1 will sound like this in F major. It's G minor, C, F. Or I'll play it with easier fingering, like this. And. See, notice the G minor was here. The C was here. The G was in second inversion. The C was in first inversion. In D minor, it's this. And now I'll do the 2-5-1 lick when the 2 is A minor in second inversion. And the D7 is in first inversion. Here we go. And now I'll do it again when the 2 is E minor and the A 27 is in first version. Okay, so what I'm getting basically is a 2-5-1 lick, but instead of transposing it by moving my hand left and right, which is easy, I'm learning to transpose it up and down in fourths, which means moving vertically on the guitar. See what I did there? Confused the basics. Okay, so now what you did is you practiced a 2-5-1 lick, and as a guitar player, you've learned to connect the phrase to a chord that you can visualize. This is critical, because when you're improvising in real time, you need to move from chord to chord. And let me just finish with an excerpt from, there's a song called Tune Up by Miles Davis, something, sorry. Okay, it's a very fun, simple song. It's 2-5-1, D, 2-5-1, and C. And once you have like all these positions ready for you on the different string sets, you can actually put some kind of playback in the background, and just try to play the lick inside the song, like connect the phrase to an actual song, like this. Okay, so it's actually not a big deal yet. All I'm doing is basically sucking in a whole complete lick and basically just playing it at the right time with the song. Okay, that's a very, very important step. So let me summarize what I've said here. Learn a 2-5-1 lick. Step 1, analyze it, meaning understand what the harmonic functions are, what each note is doing in relation to the chord that's being played at that time. Step 2, crucial for guitar players, analyze which inversions of the chords are best suited to describe where the progression is. Step 3, move the progression in fourths, up and down the guitar. So you have that 2-5-1 working in 12 keys and working on all sets of strings. That's very important. The next step is actually applying it to a song. Start playing the song with the intent of using that lick. And the final step is, I'm just going to gloss over it because it's its own discussion, get creative with that 2-5. So that means that finding that sweet spot where you can actually be creative while still focusing on the lick. So for example, if I have this lick, so I'm kind of playing on that song, but I'm still thinking about that lick. So that's its whole thing. But remember, there's always, I'd say, a spectrum between being very rigid in your practice and be creative and trying to throw in what you intended to practice into more of a free setting. So I sincerely hoped you enjoyed this and this is useful to you. Please like and subscribe. You can totally ask me questions about this stuff. I'm dying to help. And thanks for listening. See you all later, guys. Happy hunting. Bye-bye.